In the first week of July, approval and trust ratings for Russian dictator Vladimir Putin dropped significantly by 4 percentage points each. This is evidenced by the latest data from the Public Opinion Foundation. For the first time since the fall of 2022, when the country was undergoing mobilization, the Kremlin's leaders' support figures began to plummet. According to the study, between June the 29th and July the 6th, the level of approval of the permanent head of the Russian Federation fell from 83% to 79%, and the level of trust fell from 82% to 78%. Analysts believe that this was not caused by one event, but by a number of factors that caused a feeling of instability and anxiety among citizens. According to Vladislav Inozemtsev, a doctor of economic sciences and an expert at the European Centre for Analysis and Strategies, the key trigger was not the war, but the rise in utility tariffs. It was during these days that Russians began to receive July bills with new, significantly increased amounts. The increase in tariffs turned out to be much greater than the rate of inflation. People understand that the authorities are squeezing the last bit out of them without any qualms of conscience. Inozemtsev emphasized in a comment to the Moscow Times, since July the 1st, utility bills across the country have increased by an average of 13.4%, the sharpest increase in the last 10 years. However, in a number of regions, the jump was even more painful. In Moscow by 15%, in the Moscow region by 18.3%, in Kuzbass by almost 20%. The absolute record was recorded in Izhevsk, where the increase was 38%. Economic pressure was compounded by other sources of discomfort. Residents of the country faced widespread internet outages as well as chaos in air travel caused by logistical disruptions and service interruptions. Political scientist Abbas Gallyamov points out that the increase in tariffs is perceived by society as yet another confirmation of the authorities' inability to cope with the consequences of the war. In his opinion, the recent tensions in relations with Donald Trump have been an additional blow to Russians' expectations. The Russians felt deceived. They had hoped that both the SVO and the period of international tension in general were moving towards their end, but then suddenly they realized that there was no end in sight. Gallyamov noted, thus, the combination of economic pressure and growing political pessimism is beginning to have a noticeable impact on public sentiment, forcing Russians to re-evaluate their trust in the government.
In Moscow and the Moscow region, they have begun to check trucks en masse amid the threat of new drone attacks. According to the Telegram channel VCHKOGPU, the Russian capital has been put on high alert, and all defenses and shelters have been put on full alert. Almost the entire personnel of the Federal Protective Service have been called to duty. According to sources, the security forces fear a repeat of the scenario that occurred in early June in the Irkutsk region and other regions of Russia. Then the Ukrainian SBU carried out a successful operation called Spiderweb, during which attack drones, launched directly from trucks, attacked Russian military airfields, causing enormous damage. Now police officers on the highways around Moscow are stopping and carefully inspecting every truck, including small gazelles. Particular attention is paid to the bodies of the vehicles. The security forces are looking for possible batches of attack drones that can be disguised as ordinary cargo. The Baza Telegram channel confirms the information about enhanced checks. According to them, the number of inspections of freight transport has increased significantly recently, and the Emergencies Ministry personnel have been put on enhanced duty. Furthermore, Russia arrests truck driver allegedly transporting drones for Ukraine's Operation Spiderweb. Mikhail Ryumin, a 55-year-old resident of the Russian city of Chelyabinsk, was arrested for allegedly transporting drones in a truck for Ukraine's Operation Spiderweb, Russian independent media outlet Media Zona reported on July 10, citing a court's appeal ruling. Ukraine carried out an unprecedented mass drone strike as part of the Operation Spiderweb on June 1, targeting 4 Russian air bases deep inside the country. During the attack, Ukrainian forces reportedly damaged 41 aircraft, using drones concealed in trucks at multiple locations across Russia. Ryumin was charged with committing a terrorist act and arrested on June 2. On June 26, the Ivanova Regional Court upheld the decision to arrest him. A colleague of Ryumin confirmed to Mediazona, on condition of anonymity, that he was indeed the driver of one of the trucks used in the Ukrainian operation. The source insisted that Ryumin was unaware that the vehicle was carrying drones hidden beneath the roofs of the frame house structures. According to the source, Ryumin had recently switched jobs and accepted a delivery order to transport components for frame houses from Chelyabinsk to Ivanova Oblast using a rented truck. Western analysts and military officials praised Ukraine's ingenuity in the Spiderweb operation. NATO Admiral Pierre Vandier called the mission a modern reinvention of the Trojan horse, demonstrating Ukraine's growing technical sophistication and deep strike capability. Ukrainian armed forces struck Russian military facilities producing aircraft, missiles and drones in separate attacks on Friday. A major aircraft-producing plant was struck in Moscow region, Ukrainian army reported on Friday. The Lukavitsky aircraft factory is involved in production and repair of MiG-29 and MiG-31 fighter jets and is also involved in Garin and Shahid UAV modernization cycle, Andriy Kovalenko, head of Ukraine Center for Countering Disinformation said on Telegram app. According to Russian Astra outlet, at least 2 drones hit the facility at around 1 a.m. on July 1. No injuries were reported during the attack that damaged one compressor station and caused the collapse of a wall of the facility. Earlier, residents in Lukavitsky reported powerful explosion near the plant and a nearby oil depot. Konstad drone production facility in Dubna in Moscow region was also hit on Friday morning, Ukrainian media reported. The facility reportedly produces Orion strike and reconnaissance drones. Separately, a strike was launched on the Shipyanov Instrument Design Bureau, one of the key enterprises producing missiles for Russian air defense missile systems and anti-aircraft missile systems in Tula city. It should be noted that Ukrainian army has increased intensity of its attacks on Russian military targets and facilities in occupied Ukrainian territories and deep in Russia.